Okay, well, this is Jacob one more time. Um, this evening, I was able to rip a couple of linings. These are about 4 millimeters width. Um, and I realized that I should have documented the process while I was doing it, but I'd already committed to being already through it. So maybe I'll make another video about that in the future. But in this one, the process is basically the same as making the tentallones, although I rip the wood a little thinner. So the tentallones are almost a 1/4 inch or a little over a 1/4 inch wide when I rip them off of the wood. So in other words, when I begin cutting, sawing this wood, the tentallone piece is a little thicker, not much. And this, I'm starting around 5 to 6 millimeters where I draw my line. And if I cut with my saw down that line, I end up with a piece that's about 4 to 5 millimeters, and which will then be planed. I haven't planed this particular line yet, so you can see it's still got some irregularity, whereas this is the planed side, which is good and flat. I'll have to plane this down just a little bit to make it where it needs to be. And each time I make that rip, I take this and I plane along the edge. And in this one, if I was going to make another one, I would go ahead and plane it, but I'm done. And you can see it's pretty clean. It's pretty clean, but it could be better. So basically, you draw your line and you cut. And after you have cut and pulled that piece off, then you go ahead and plane that edge one more time and get it nice and flat again. And then you cut another one. So you need usually 2 to 4 of these linings in order to do a guitar. Now I use the tentallones for the top. I find it's a better process for me. It takes a little bit longer than just putting a lining in, but it allows me to make sure and ensure that each little piece of the top is exactly where I want it. I'm not as concerned with that when I do the back, because when I put the lining in on the back, then I actually do some planing and adjusting before as I'm fitting the back, before I actually put the back on the guitar. So there's a little bit of built-in make that edge exactly where I want it before I glue it. So that's that process, for those of you who are asking. By the way, this piece, if you look at the edge, is near about 1/4 sawn. So I know it's not going to pop in real well there, but it's near about 1/4 sawn here. So my board that I'm pulling out of, the edge that I'm sawing off, is 1/4 sawn to the flat edge of that piece. So good to note. Okay, Jacob here one more time. So I'm now starting on my neck blank, and what I have here is a very long piece of Spanish cedar. It is 1/4 sawn. It is about I think 36 inches, 36 by 3 by 1. And what I've done is I've gone ahead and I have laid out right here my longer lines. Usually I come in from the edge and I come into about 140 millimeters, and then another 65 millimeters to get my second line. But then I've measured to make sure that my cut line is going to be around 15 millimeters, and it was too high. It was around 20. So I backed up about 10 millimeters on both sides and redrew my line. I'm going to go with that. It's not quite 15. It's in between. It's about 17, 18 millimeters or degrees. So I'm going to work with that and go from there. And then, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut that to make my scarf joint. I'll do that in a separate video. And I've laid out from where that scarf joint is approximately gonna be. I have found where my 12th fret would approximately be, and then I've measured another little bit. So I'm using a 650 millimeter scale, so this line right here would be about 325 millimeters from my proposed scarf joint. And to give myself a little leeway, my line is at 400 millimeters. And what that does is it gives me a lot of extra over here that I'm going to cut off, so that I'm going to use that for my heel block. And if I have enough of it, it may also work for the end block, but I don't know that that's the case. But definitely heel block. And then I've got some excess over there on the top that once I actually do cut it off and make my headstock, I'll have enough up there for that to work as well. So like I said, next video or so, I'll show you that scarf joint thing. But right now I'm going to go ahead and cut this off so that I can get prepared for that. And good one.